here. Right. Okay, thanks everyone for coming. So we're very fortunate today. My name is Maija Palmer. I'm a journalist at the Financial Times. I've been covering tech for a long time. And we're here with two very interesting founders who are going to tell us about how they kind of went past the scrappy startup stage and made it to the sort of big time. I'm trying to unpick a little bit about what happened here. So we have Tobin Moore of Optoro, who is solving an interesting problem. In fact, both founders are solving, I think, interesting problems. One is to do with what do stores do with their returns. And Nicolas Michaelsen of AirHelp, who actually is a good person to know today if your flight was delayed, because he helps you get your money back from the airline. But I'm going to let you guys tell us how you got started. So, Toby, what did if you can tell us a little bit about how Optoro started? It was the scrappiest of scrappy startups, I understand, with a lot of credit cards funding the start of this company.
Yeah. Well, so little background today. Optoro helps retailers figure out what to do with all of their customer returns and excess inventory. About 10% of all goods that are sold in retail end up getting returned, and it totals about $640 billion a year worldwide. For some of the biggest retailers, that means billions of dollars of returns a year. So we're the technology systems they use to process, manage, and then connect these goods to all the individuals, businesses, recyclers, and charities worldwide looking for them. But it didn't start off like that idea. So originally, we started off as one of the very first eBay drop-off stores. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie 40-Year-Old Virgin, but the little eBay store in that movie was what we were originally. And it started in college as an idea to solve a problem that I saw my dad had. He had a big collection issue and used to buy lots of trinkets on eBay until it filled up the house. My mom made him figure out how to sell it, but it was a really difficult issue. So in my summers in college, I used to help him sell online, and this was the early days of eBay back in 2002, 2003, so the systems were really antiquated. So I really helped him kind of figure out how to do this and realized there was a need for a service to help people sell goods that were used online. Fast forward, we opened up an eBay drop-off store out of my parents' garage, and then we opened it up in Washington, D.C., and didn't have any money initially, so I took out credit cards. So this was 2005 and 2006. I was about 22 years old. Took out 37 credit cards to get the business going. Got up to $350,000 in debt doing it, and my parents had no idea I was doing this at the time.
And remind us again, the year was?
2004, 2005, 2006. We just kept taking, we started off with $5,000 from American Express and then Capital One, and then we kept growing it. And initially it was 0% APRs, because back in America then they were giving out credit cards, apparently even to 22-year-olds who didn't have any collateral. But we built them up until it was hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then in 2008 the economy crashed, and overnight all of our credit cards got called in, and our interest rates went up to 30 and 40% APR. So that's really when I'm about 33 years old, and I have a nice silver lining on the sides and back. That all happened in my early 20s when the credit cards were called in. But yeah, so we started off as eBay drop-off stores, and first we're selling goods for individuals online, and then what happened was stores started reading about us in the newspaper, and they started coming to us with inventory problems. And we switched models to focus on retailers once we realized how big of an issue it was and how our technology and software could really help them out. So fast forward, finally in 2010, we shut down the storefronts and switched models to focus solely on retailers. And at that point, this was the funny twist in the story. So we started off with the credit cards with Capital One and American Express, and they all shut us down eventually when the economy crashed. The person who then came to save us in 2010 was the co-founder of Capital One, who was our first real big angel that we got, which really kind of kicked things off to take it to the next level.
So how did you get in contact, or did he contact you? What kind of brought him to be the first angel investor?
Right, so when the economy crashed in 2008, I started pitching everyone. And at first, everyone heard about VCs and how they were all giving out money. So I pitched over 100 VCs and got shot down by all of them. And then, the last VC I remember, he had a son who had gone to the same high school with us, so he was more honest than the others. And he said, "There's no way anyone's going to give you money in this market. You have to start going to individuals." So we started going to family and friends, and friends of friends, and friends of friends of friends. I pitched and successfully pitched my sister's boyfriend's husband my sister's boyfriend's father at the time to be one of our seed investors. But in that process of going to hundreds of individuals, one of them that I found was the co-founder of Capital One. And as an entrepreneur, a good way to find out who's stroking checks is to go to the entrepreneur lawyers and accountants in your city and ask them, who they have with a list of all the people who are doing deals.
And what was the stage then that you felt that the company kind of really moved up a gear? This was when you'd done the pivot, so you were now working with stores. How did you kind of get into that market initially?
Yeah, so we had the storefront, our own storefront that would sell goods for individuals online, and it was antiques, collectibles, cars, anything. And then small boutiques started coming to us with inventory issues. And then a pawn shop actually came to us and asked if we could start selling goods for them. So we opened up in the back of a pawn shop selling open box goods that they were buying from liquidators. And that's when we discovered this market of retailers and the returns issues. What really was a turning point, I think, is when we took our technology and we raised money from this guy from Capital One, and then transformed our business so it could be cloud-based, and all the technology we built we could give to the retailers directly to work out of their distribution centers and storefronts. And the real turning point was when we had our first retailer who accepted it, and it proved that it worked. And our results doubled what they had gotten from anyone else in the past. And I think that was kind of the big turning point then.
And I want to turn to Nicolas now to tell us a little bit about the beginnings of AirHelp. I think we can probably all imagine how the frustration that led to the start of this company. But how did you decide to turn it into an actual business?
So just for reference, we help you get money back from airlines when they screw up your flight. So there are certain laws that obligate them to pay you cash compensation. Obviously, most of them don't. And this was born out of a personal pain point, like any good company. Flying a lot, myself and my co-founder, and like any frequent traveler, missing meetings, missing time with friends and family, and we were just wondering there must be something that protects you as a consumer. And we did some research, and we found that there were these laws, and we then said, okay, let's try and claim this money, and we just found this process to be completely broken. And some airlines wouldn't even get back to you, had to send them fax, you had to send them snail mail. It was completely broken. And then we said, well, if we have this problem, there's probably a lot of other travelers out there with the same problem. And we said, if we can do this for a lot of people and automate it by using data, then we can reduce that friction. So we started, basically myself and my co-founder and a Google spreadsheet. And we're just looking at airport websites, trying to see flights that were delayed and trying to see if we could claim for that. And then we were featured in a consumer rights show back in Denmark because the way we started and how we started talking to customers was basically buying the cheapest tickets we could get, and then going to the airport.
So you were doing this guerrilla marketing in the airport?
Completely. Because we wanted to, again, validate that this was something people actually wanted. And we thought, where are people that are delayed? They're at the airport. So we did that, and then we had this TV show that followed us on one of these airport raids. Mm-hmm. And overnight, we had 3,000 people that come to our site and said, can you help us with our delayed flight? And we said, sure. And at this point, it was still just me and my co-founder and a Google spreadsheet. And then we didn't sleep for 2 months, basically talking to all the airlines, figuring out how this worked at scale. And then we got Greg, who's our CTO, on board, and then built out like the proper back end of things.
And I understand one of the really crucial things for you guys was that you got onto the Y Combinator program. So,
Yeah.
I mean, tell us a little bit about, did you just apply? How did that come about? And what kind of impact did that then have on the business?
Yeah, I mean, the first year, so we started in January 2013, and the first year we spent that just scaling out across Europe. And then we applied for Y Combinator end of 2013, and we got in. And obviously that had a huge impact because at that point we were a European company, and any European that's trying to go across know that it's challenging. So having that seal of approval definitely helped us establish ourselves in the US and had a huge impact.
Yeah. And Y Combinator itself didn't bring you a huge amount of money, but then it helped you raise your next round.
So the way Y Combinator is structured, you have 3 months where you go through the program and you have office hours, and that culminates in like what's called a demo day. And at demo day, you pitch in front of 500 of the biggest VCs in the world, and that obviously, like that whole social dynamic, makes it easier to raise money. I mean, we still had to prove our case, so it wasn't like people just like signing over checks, but it made the access to capital easier, definitely.
Yeah. And I mean, we spend an awful lot of time talking about money, but I kind of wanted to spend a couple of moments talking about some of the other things that you have to do as you kind of hit the big time. I think hiring is definitely one of those things. I think, Toby, you were saying that this can be a real make or break issue for a company as you start to scale up.
Yeah, we, I think one of the most important things about growing and being successful is having great people around you. We really focus on this when we raise money, about having great investors who were businessmen who had been there and done that before. And some of their advice that they gave me in the early days was try to stay involved in hiring as long as you can, because that's the one area that you really can have a big impact on forming the shape of your company moving forward, years beyond. So today I have a co-founder with me. We are involved in every single hire that we have, and we have about close to 200 people at our corporate headquarters now. All of them, either me or him, sat in on the interview.
So how much time does this take out of your day? I mean, this is a full-time job nearly, just keeping up with the hiring.
Yeah, well, we've gotten better, so we don't sit through the entire ones, or we do shorter interviews than the past, and it's usually a final one. And often we'll go on a walk, so we'll make it something so we can mix in some exercise also. But I think it's about 25% of my time is still spent on recruiting in some way or another.
Yeah. And what about you, Nicolas? You were saying there are lots of kind of small things that you don't think about that are important when scaling.
Yeah, I mean, I've just noticed that there are these sort of points where you have to scratch the rule book, and for us it was like when you became 15 people, then again we were like 30, 40, 60, 70, and now we're going to pass 100. It's the same thing. It's like everything that you've kind of built up, you have to kind of rethink it. So I think that's very important, and not just to have this like one size fits all, but really think about, for this situation I'm in right now, what's the best way to do it.
And you've had to take some pretty unusual tactics actually to grow the business. I just wondered if it would be worth talking about this for a minute, because you've spent a lot of your money hiring lawyers to sue the airlines.
Yeah.
And this is, perhaps not the case for your average startup, but this is, something you've had to do to get the airlines to actually take you seriously.
I mean, it just comes to show that the product market fit is so different from company to company. For us, the product market fit was that we could sue the airlines like at a big scale. In the beginning, they didn't take us seriously. It was like anybody else. They would just say, we're not going to do anything. And until we did that, we raised our seed round after YC. That just unlocked our growth. Yep. So yeah, you can't compare apples to pears.
No. But you've got now how many lawyers on staff?
We've got 15 lawyers on staff now.
But then you're finding that this is paying off because the airlines are now actually becoming more
Of course, so it's about creating precedents around these rules. So even though the laws are very black and white, it's still something that a lot of airlines are trying to go about it a different way.
And Nicolas, you obviously had some early help from a good kind of PR stunt, or not stunt, but the good luck of having this TV crew following you around. Toby, do you think is kind of how much of time do you spend thinking about marketing as you kind of grow and gain visibility?
Well, for us, we've been more focused on enterprise clients, on retailers, so we go in at a much higher level where we try to target a CFO or a CEO, and we do it through our board and our investors. So less on marketing, though it's still probably 10 to 15% of our time.
So it's more about going to a retailer and showing them the results that you've had for others.
Yeah,
and that
the marketing side, we have a whole e-commerce team that's focused full time on it, for marketing the used and return products once they get back out into the system. And a lot of that is through search engines where we push the product and automate it all.
Yeah. And I want to open this up to questions in a minute, but before we go to that, I just wondered whether you guys could tell us what the next step is for you. I mean, you've got this far, it's all looking good, but what is the next challenge that you need to overcome?
So we're 98 people now. We're going to be 100 in a bit, and we're looking to be 250 at the end of next year. So right now for us, it's much about like creating or expanding the service that we already have, and seeing, okay, there's one part of the problem that we fixed now, and what other parts can we fix. So it's a lot about like basically thinking about anything that can go wrong while you're out flying, and then being able to solve that.
So still within the airline industry,
yeah,
but perhaps other elements of
there's some stuff coming out like in the beginning of the new year.
And you, Toby?
We've spent it's working? Yep. We've spent a lot of our time over the last several years building out our solution to really sell products well directly to end consumers online and to businesses. The other channels that we're going to be really focused on building out are automating donations. So when goods come back to retailers, that might better be donated somewhere versus sold or recycled, connecting them directly to different recyclers as well. Those are the big channels we're going to be focusing on over the years to come here.
Great. Well, should we open it up to the audience now, if anyone is interested in asking a question? We've got some roving mics.
We have a better than a roving mic. We have a catch box.
Catch box, I love
Who
that.
wants to get this in their hand and ask a question? Come on. I'm just going to
question?
throw it at somebody, and somebody's going to ask a question that catches it. It's being lobbed? Do I see a guy in the red shirt smiling over there? Has a question? Okay. That's not that far, though.
There's a question down there.
Okay, here we go.
Just in here? Yeah. Guys, so the question I had was just around the raising funding element of it. So I think you said that you obviously you went to the VCs, they wouldn't give you the money because of the timing, so you had to go to angels and friends and family and stuff like that. If that happened again, I suppose at this time, were the terms that much more restrictive when you went to the angels, or?
I think our timing was really bad with the market crashing. Since then, we have gone to VCs. We've raised over $100 million from some of the biggest VCs, including Kleiner Perkins. So the terms definitely are better today. Even with angels, I see a lot of the angel markets also. The terms are as good as kind of anyone's ever seen them today versus in the past. Since 1999 was probably the last time where they were any better than they are today.
Any other questions? We got more?
I see somebody. It's really soft. It's not hard. Don't worry.
I'm happy to keep going if we don't have any questions. Oh, no, there's a question up front.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry.
It's not a question?
Sorry, I thought you were asking one.
Oh, you're looking for a seat over there?
Oh, here we are. There's a lady in the brown jacket.
Hi, I have a question for Tobin on enterprise sales. Can you hear me?
Sorry.
Enterprise sales. I wanted to hear about your approach because enterprise sales is very traditional in a lot of industries. What was your approach to bring innovation and not be so hourly intense?
Sorry, my approach for what?
For enterprise sales, like your sales funnel?
For enterprise sales, yeah, it's difficult. You have to be patient. It always takes longer than you think. My approach, so I've learned a lot over time. Started off going in at the director level at a lot of these companies, the people who would be using it, and it was really, really difficult because they may love your solution, but then you had to go through them to get these different, 5 different VPs to approve it and then bring it up to an EVP, and you would die throughout the process of trying to go through these different committees. So what we did is we started going in at the level of the folks who are going to use your software, but also the people at the top who will be signing off on the expense of implementing it.
So anything but the middle, basically.
So yeah, a multifaceted approach. You have to work all levels. But it was much, much easier when you would start at the top and work your way down, because then it's already pre-approved. And so we use our board a lot for that.
But then how easy is it to get to those people at the top?
That's more difficult. So we...
you got any tips for how you get there?
We got there by raising money from and creating a good board. The best thing that a board can do for you, I think, is probably help make connections on the business development side or on the people side for hiring. They're not going to be in your day-to-day operations or designing software for you, so they can help kind of guide you on what to look out for, but they can really, really help on connecting you to their network, and that's how we did it.
Well, I think we're out of time, so unless there's anyone else who wants a final question, I think we might wrap that up and say thank you, Toby and Nicolas. I think we could talk about this a lot more, but I think you'll have to catch these guys later in a lounge or around the conference somewhere.
Great.